Hey there, before we get started, this is a pre-roll voice sample. I'm about to have some tea, so hopefully it'll improve a little bit. If not, I will apologize now, because it's annoying to speak. You can only imagine listening. So hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, let's see how this works out. This is Coffee Solo for Sunday, July 20th, 2029. So that's episode 2025-07-2001. The title and topic of today's episode, well, there's never just one topic by design, but certainly the title, always Sisyphean. Sisyphean? However you'd like to pronounce that. I did just have some Egyptian licorice tea, so I'll see if that helps a little bit. I will get into the sixth story. Let me just update the dates here on my notes. All right. So I did write a bunch of stuff down though, because I'm definitely recovering. The summary, is it me or is catching up nearly impossible? Let's talk about something else. But we will talk about the links for today's episode are the usual, although I have inserted direct links to the Spotify for Creators profile pages for both Coffee Solo and Buy Me an Update. So they are no longer, neither of these are any longer exclusively available on their respective platforms. That's just the way it is. RSS feeds and podcasts go together like RSS and podcasts. So to not offer an RSS feed was just becoming kind of a challenge. I was thinking about doing this. I had actually set up the two channels and had not really uploaded anything yet. And then I uploaded episode 0 for each with the presumption that, I would be getting around to filling those in. With Spotify, you upload an episode to get started. Then you can enable RSS feeds and all that stuff. But then Buy Me an Update would not allow me, they wouldn't. They had a bug, and it was, I was not able to upload my Buy Me an Update episode from last week. It took a full day to get a response, and in the end they said, it's fixed, try it again. And I just cannot rely on stuff like that, even though it's free. I totally understand that, but because it is free, I don't feel guilty in having multiple sources. So now Coffee Solo and Buy Me an Update are available right alongside all of my other programming. So if you do visit buymeacoffee.com/DanHugo, you can see the profile page has profile links to Spotify for Creators for all of my audio programs. This is going to be fun, isn't it? So yeah, check that out. And I still, somewhat ironically, I have a link, the affiliate link to Nasal Fresh MD. I still use it, although it won't help if you are actually sick, but I will give it a try tonight. So I think I'll mention this later, but maybe I'll just do it now. Friday night I was getting, I had a sore throat, definitely. Today is Sunday at about 9:45, so like 48 hours ago. I had a sore throat, made some tea. I figured, okay, well, maybe I'm just getting a sore throat. And then by midnight, I started really feeling achy and not great, like tired, very fatigued. No sinus or congestion yet. Then I woke up, 4 or 5 in the morning, fever, achy, congested, sneezing, productive blowing my nose. Is that a thing? Later, some productive coughing, but I have a feeling that will continue after today. And so I'm sick. Okay. So Saturday I was shot. It was all day, nothing. So that was not fun. I'm really hoping that it was indeed a 24-hour bug, if that's a real thing anymore. I still feel tired and stuffed up a little bit, and you can hear my voice is obviously not recovered, but my fever has broken, which is good. And it only started with a sore throat, so I don't know exactly what this was. So I don't know. On the upside, my ankle is well above 80% at this point in my personal judgment. No more cane. Walking is approaching a fairly normal gait, not so much limp. And though I am, of course, looking forward to getting back on my usual walking routine at about 3 miles daily, I just get outside and walk for health, fresh air, all that good stuff. Plus, getting back to the gym, which I also walk to, it's about a mile each way. So the point here, walking is important to my day to day. I do it all the time. I don't have a car. I sold my car, I think it was 7 years ago. I should figure out when that actually was. And so it's been rather inconvenient for the past 7 weeks or so. So I'm really looking forward to getting back to a normal mobility schedule at least. If we're lucky, we will not have any performance this evening by Noisy Raymond, my upstairs neighbor. So I just mentioned I was feeling ill, started kicking in around midnight. So Friday night, midnight, so between Friday and Saturday. So at about 1 in the morning, it was only about before that. I think it was 12:45 maybe, but call it 1 a.m. Before I was feeling the full sick, but I was definitely, it was coming. He was upstairs, Noisy Raymond was upstairs playing guitar and entertaining. And noise cutoff, I guess you could say, it's 10 p.m. And I tell people all the time, I get it. I built 7-foot tall speakers in college. Sometimes you just gotta let your music flow. I hear mediocre guitar. I hear mediocre keyboard, very repetitive, as though it's practicing. And I hear some very, very bad singing. But I'm like, hey, it only lasts for like an hour. It's horrible. I can only imagine what else Raymond does that would last less time than that and be just as awful. So I called in a real noise complaint to security, and they say if we get there and there's no noise that we can hear in the hallway, then we can't do anything. And I always find this funny because the door, the walls to the hallway and the door are better noise insulating than the floor and the ceiling. So you're more likely to be able to hear upstairs, downstairs sound transmission than into the hallway. So they're basically using they're using an attenuated test, right? They have a filter between the noise source and the ear, and so it's very frustrating. But the sound stopped. It's probably 20 minutes later. So I'm assuming the security person knocked on the door. They probably turned it down. If he or she did knock on the door, they must have been able to hear it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have. And the sound stopped rather abruptly. And then there was some milling around. Like maybe he was entertaining, and then they left. So I'm saying all this because, I know it sounds like I'm being a little uptight, but it's at 1 o'clock in the morning. If you're living in a community, an apartment community, there's a time for going nuts, and there's a time for realizing that you live around other people. So, and again, I always say I built those speakers in college. We used to play loud music all the time, but I'll tell you what, if somebody upstairs or next door or whatever, and we had them outside, so it's pretty obvious. If somebody came over and said, hey, can you turn that down? I'm working, I have homework or I have a test tomorrow. Say no more. No, there was not even a question. So I'm a little bit frustrated because I know over the past few months that Noisy Raymond has received phone calls from the leasing office. So it's been a point of frustration, and now it's like, I don't really care anymore. So if he gets evicted or whatever, great. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's too much to ask. We live in Las Vegas. You can go outside and make as much noise as you want in many parts of the city. You don't have to do it around other people that are trying to sleep. I know I've been harping on this, and this is what is one more day? One day more or less in the grand scheme of things, I guess. But I'm really feeling lately as though everything is just out of reach. The Sisyphean boulder up the hill thing. In terms of time, focus, and progress, I will feel better when I can talk more about deployments, when I can talk more in general. When I can I would rather talk about accomplishment than plan. So completion rather than intent. I used to think it was helpful to talk about upcoming as a form of motivation. Like, here's the stuff we're working on, and we got to get it done by the end of the month. Or that doesn't work. It only applies pressure and sets expectations that may or may not be realistic, especially if you're not, if you're working for somebody else, and they're paying you, that's a little bit easier to prioritize. But anyway, in the end, I don't think people really care about what's coming. And I've talked about this in episodes of my other programs. Here in Vegas, it's a very much a show don't tell culture. So, hey, here's the thing I'm working on. Oh, come back and show it to me when it's done. That's almost literally the state of affairs. So, so I don't think people really care about talking about plans upcoming. So you, in the end, you're only negging yourself, right? I mean, I'm negging myself when I try to set a line in the sand and I don't make it, and then I'm like, that was very frustrating. I should have been done by last week. And then life happens. The ankle situation some 7 weeks ago. It's 7 or 8 weeks ago. I can't remember. And yeah, so getting sick, little life adventures. So I'm only going to talk about done things moving forward. What else? So I've talked about my like of reaction videos. I like them just because it's like a culture shift. A lot of reaction video people react to movies from the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, sometimes the 50s. And I think it's interesting to watch people who are, Gen Z, Gen Y, or sorry, millennials. I'm Gen X. So to see the transition, sometimes movies carry over, no problem. I mean, the golden era of 80s movies for action. There are some very good movies from the 50s. 12 Angry Men. I've seen, a dozen or 15 reaction videos from that. I think it's interesting to see how people, because a movie from any period can be like a baseline. So to see how people, and I'm just watching the YouTube version, so it's not their Patreon full reaction. But it's interesting to see some things hit the same across generations, across the decades. But I haven't been watching those as much. It's taking a little dip. It's probably good not to get too much of that input. I think, there's just better things to do. Every once in a while, I have moved more toward history content lately. So a history video so there's some extremely talented history YouTubers, I guess. Heather Cox Richardson is like amazing for American history. What is it? Honor or something? I just came across her. She's really ancient Roman and Greek history. Extremely knowledgeable. There's some other people. Those are two I just watched like yesterday. You'd think I'd remember her name. Let me do a quick search here. It will. You just type Honor and Rome or something. I'll try that. Honor and Rome. Oh, I guess honor is a big thing in Rome, so maybe not. Honor, Roman history. Oh man, it's harder to find this than to find. Yeah, Roman honor turns out to be a separate thing. Honor historian. Honor Cargill. There you go. Honor Cargill Martin. Honor. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if she had. I guess she has a YouTube channel. She was on some history channel, and then I've seen her doing some other interviews. She's an interesting. But anyway, Heather Cox Richardson though, just absolutely topical. She gets into some very interesting conversations with people about the current state of affairs, and then she has like a solo Ask Me Anything type thing, like a live stream and stuff. So yeah, really, 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 really good stuff. So yeah, history, because you know what they say, you know what George Santayana said: those who do not remember the past are doomed to repeat it. I think he says the past, not history. George Santayana. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Yeah, something like that. So it's good to know what happened so we know if it seems like it might be happening again. Although history does not repeat itself. It might rhyme if you're a George Lucas fan, but it certainly is a place to look for hints. So yeah, more history content lately. I have a feeling this will be a thing to limit for the next couple of months. And what I mean is Epstein coverage. So history is fine, but they're going to start talking about administration controversy and scandal and cover up and all that. So history is going to bleed over into all the Epstein stuff, and everything is bleeding into the Epstein stuff at this point. So yeah, maybe reaction videos are a better deal. Or I could just try to get some work done and not watch YouTube. But it's nice to have something on. So I know music, right? They have that. It looks like we are through the hot part of the Vegas summer already. I think it's supposed to be 101 next week sometime, but it's basically in the 90s today, yesterday, through the week, but humid. So the monsoon may already be rolling in, or it may be yet to arrive. I don't know if you know what a monsoon is. My thermostat showed the inside humidity was 50% today, which is a bit higher than the normal 31 to 35% or so. Yeah, it isn't always a dry heat, I guess. In Phoenix, I used to live in Phoenix many years ago, we would have 4% humidity. We would have the low temperature would be like 98 degrees. That's the lowest temperature of the whole day. And I'm sure it got to be 100 in some places. And then it would get up to 118 or something. I was there for the infamous 122 degree day. I don't know if I've talked about this before. I've talked about it in Quaggling Sand, my other audio program. I had my first programming job. The office was kept at around 70 or 75 for the computers to not overheat. So I just want you to imagine going from a room being kept at 75, say, to outside, which is, call it 120. That's a 45 degree difference. That's pretty warm. That's a blast. And I honestly, when I walked outside, it was like a blast furnace. Like if you're opening a pizza oven, that's really hot. But when I came back in, like I went out to go to lunch, I came back in, and it's not even the hottest part of the day. It's lunchtime, right? So the real heat is coming at 3 p.m. or so. But I literally start shivering. I'm like, this is actually kind of uncomfortable because it's a 45 degree drop in temperature, basically. These are estimates, so don't hold me to it, but it was quite a day. So here in Vegas, the middle of July is typically the peak temperature. I think that was different last year. It may have been different the year before, but it's essentially plus or minus a week. It's we're there. So hopefully we are through the hot. Did you want a weather report today? Because you just got one, I guess. I like it when it's dry heat, but less of it. I just had a cough there. Sorry, I was trying to hit the pause so you wouldn't have to listen to that. So yeah, I had the tea. I wasn't going to do the pre-roll thing, but I decided, we'll see if there's a difference. And I don't think there is much of a difference. So I did have some tea as the episode was beginning. It was no longer hot. So I literally just had the final drops there. So I'm getting my microplastics for the day. As you may have heard, tea bags they're like mostly microplastics, I think. I don't know that hot tea, even with some honey in it, which I did put a teaspoon of Manuka honey. So magic, I don't know. I don't know if it's really helpful for everything as it used to be when I was a kid. I don't think my voice improved. I don't feel any better speaking. It still feels scratchy. It still feels labored. It probably sounds awful. So yeah, I think I'm going to kill this episode here so I can, put us both at rest for the evening or whenever you listen to this. And that's where I'm going to leave it for today. But I really hope I'm not sick tomorrow. Did I? Oh yeah, I did. I talked about the fire alarm thing. So yeah, that was silly. That was silly also. That was probably the beginning. That was me being so frustrated that that's it. Tonight I'm going to be sick. And here I am. All right. Take care. Thanks for listening.